Hey, how's it going? It's Tom here with CPU Points, and we're going to cover subnetting for Network Plus. We're not going to go into all the CIDR lists. We're not going to go through networking or anything like that. We're just going to talk about subnetting. Okay, it's very easy. Um, so what I do is I set up my CIDR and I do /24 to /32. And then I take the IP starting at 256 IP addresses for /24 and I cut it in half for each slash. And then what I do is I subtract 2 for each usable IP address. So 256 minus 2 equals 254. That gives me my list of usable IPs. And then for me to get my subnet mask, 255.255.255. Okay, this is the final, octet for the subnet mask. Okay, you start at 0, and then you add this number to get to this to get to the next subnet. So 128 plus 64 equals 192. 192 plus 32 equals 224, and goes on and on and on. Okay, and the reason I do this is because I can create a quick lookup table and see exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, and it took me, and basically I set this up, when I'm reading through all the material, and agreements during that 15 or 30-minute time window they give you. I put this in there during that time window, and basically all I had to remember was /24 to /32, and then I had to remember 256 IP addresses, cut it in half. Then I had to remember subtract 2 for the usable IPs. Then I had to remember the subnets, starting at 0 for /24, and then I add the IP to the previous subnet to make that subnet. So 100, so /25 is a dot 128, /26 is a dot 192, which is 128 plus 64 equals 192. So that's my shortcut on memorizing the numbers for Network Plus's, what do you want to call it, subnetting stream. I didn't go crazy memorizing all these formulas or anything. I mean, I just went down the list. /24 to /32, from 256 IP addresses down to 1. Subtract, cutting it in half for each CIDR, and then I subtracted 2 to get my usable IPs, and then I started at 0 on the subnet for the /24, and then I added the IPs for each CIDR. So when I went to, so again, when I went from subnet 0, you know, dot 0 to dot 128, I just added 128 to 0. Then I added 64 to 128 to come to 192, 32 to 192 to come 224, 16 to 224 to come 240, 8 to 240 to come 248, 4 to 248 to come 252, 2 to 252 to come to 254, 1 to 254, and that equals 255. And that's all I did. IP address plus the subnet gives you your subnet. So IP plus the previous subnet. And I came up with that list relatively quick, and I was able to write this down and put this together. And that's how I was able to do the subnetting. So in the whiteboard area of the exam, put that down, call it a day. And then when the subnet questions come up, if they come up, I had that chart that I created in about a minute and a half to reference. So I didn't have to memorize anything. I didn't have to do anything complicated. I just did the math. I went from /24 to /32, and I cut the total IPs for total host IPs from 256 to 128. Cut it in half. 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 And then did the subnetting. And then did the total IPs. That's it. Very simple shortcut to memorize the numbers. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and I'll be sure to attempt to help you out. All right, have a good one. Good luck on your exam.
Hey, don't forget to click on like and subscribe. Thank you for visiting CPU Points.